We have multiple Toronto Raptors trade updates to discuss as multiple reports have come out on two Toronto Raptors vets that haven't even played a game yet this season, as Bruce Brown as well as Kelly Olynyk have been linked to a bunch of contending teams out there in a previous wave of trade reports. And these teams, with their current circumstances, different injuries, are very intrigued by guys the vets of the Raptors have on this roster, but the Raptors are in a very interesting spot because yes, they're rebuilding. Yes, they're a younger team. Yes, they picked up Bruce Brown's contract to facilitate a trade, at least according to Adrian Wojnarowski in his report when he ended up getting that option picked up over the course of the summer. But this team has been sneaky good over the course of this year, are on a 2-game win streak, and despite the record, are an interesting spot to where I don't know if we're 100% sure that this team wants to bottom out and, go on that quest for Cooper Flag, which, trading away all the vets, despite their injury status or not, right, would indicate. So we're going to break down what these reports are saying, what's going on with this Toronto Raptors team, and frankly, whether or not it makes sense to trade these guys here now at this point in the season. But before we dive into that, folks, again, if you guys are a part of the over 67% of our viewers that haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. It's my birthday today, so, 25 years old. I'm becoming a vet out here on YouTube, which is crazy to say, but, if you're a part of that, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. But let's dive into the news. Let's dive into the madness as basically news has come out regarding more trade situations, more trade discussions, as given the financial situation of teams around the league, a handful of teams which are hard cap at the first apron, league personnel are projecting at the trade deadline to revolve around impactful secondary talents, such as Cam Johnson, Nikola Vucevic, Bruce Brown, as well as Jordan Clarkson from the Utah Jazz. So to name a few. So this is interesting, and this kind of fits well with how the Toronto Raptors are structured, how the Toronto Raptors are situated now to start off this season, because, again, this team doesn't have a lot of, the same way we did last year, right? Upper echelon, upper tier talent that's going to be out there in the trade market. I mean, we're not trading Immanuel Quickley, we're not trading RJ Barrett, we're not trading Scottie Barnes. I don't know if we're going to trade Jakob Poeltl either. Maybe he's going to be the guy that, could be an upper tier big haul for us if we do go in the direction of completely rebuilding, but frankly, I'm very happy with how Jakob Poeltl's been playing, so I don't necessarily want to see him really dealt out there in any of these trade packages either. But Masai Ujiri does have a bunch of secondary talent, players that can be impactful on contending teams' rosters, could really facilitate trades. And Bruce Brown's name is specifically mentioned here in one of these packages. And again, Bruce Brown, if you're not familiar, with his game, because we haven't seen him play much of this season, right? Obviously is still not crazy old, only 28 years old, and average over the course of his career, a 6'4", a guy that can rebound, play, defend, do different stuff. But last season for the Toronto Raptors averaged close to 10 points per game, 2.7 assists, 3.8 rebounds, and has been pretty solid over the course, of his teams. Won a championship with the Denver Nuggets, has been an impact player on contending teams in recent seasons. So has dealt with some injuries right now, as we're seeing at the start of this year. Apparently his return is fairly imminent, but Bruce Brown is a very interesting, intriguing player that definitely many contending teams will be interested in picking up and acquiring if he's able to play healthy, if he's able to get out there on the court and have an impact for their squad. So Bruce Brown's an interesting piece, and another guy that was named out there in these reports is Kelly Olynyk. As Kelly Olynyk, Robert Williams, as well as Jonas Valanciunas are three predominant names the front office personnel are labeling as the most likely big men around the NBA to be on the move before the trade deadline. Olynyk and Valanciunas are two players the Warriors have scouted in the past, whereas Olynyk and Melton have almost identical contracts, and both Williams and Valanciunas own slightly smaller contracts. All three big men could hypothetically be in a package for Melton's expiring deal. So, again, it's tough to really gauge the trade market, the trade values for guys like Kelly Olynyk, who is an older player, 33 years old, but was fairly impactful for the Toronto Raptors last season, even though he didn't, have the greatest Olympic sort of stretch. But last year for the Toronto Raptors really started to get back to, dare I say, prime form. Prime Kelly Olynyk, averaging 13 points per game, averaged 5.6 rebounds, shot well from the three-point line, 34%, but, he's been a solid three-point shooter over the course of his entire career. But definitely Kelly Olynyk is a guy that the Raptors, I think, are very high on. Look at him as a vet and a guy that they want to keep around on this team. But, insiders are saying that Kelly Olynyk is one of the most likely players, big men, to get traded out there on the trade market for the squad here now at this point. So, again, given the direction of this team and given the emergence of some of the guys off the bench like Jonathan Mobo, right, that could be using and have taken advantage of those extra forward minutes, don't be surprised if these guys do end up in these trades, do end up in these deals. And the Warriors are the team that's specifically brought up as they're a squad that's atop the Western Conference right now, one of the, going on a run. out there in this team trying to make another push. I mean, Kendrick Lamar dropped another album. They don't not win championships when Kendrick Lamar drops an album. So they're going to want to keep up that trend, keep things going, capitalize on the prime on Steph Curry's career. And Melton has been crucial for that team to start off the season with the secondary defense and with the stuff. Kelly Olynyk's contract matches. They could use some forward depth, but also, frankly, I think Bruce Brown is a better fit because he provides a lot of what DeAnthony Melton was providing out there for the Golden State Warriors. And frankly, if you watch the Golden State Warriors play, like having Melton out there on the lineup, you saw the impact that having Klay Thompson on the team really had because, again, having a guy that Klay Thompson did, during the championship runs, during the dynasty seasons, having a guy alongside Steph Curry to take the pressure off, to really not have Steph Curry be forced to guard the primary ball handler of the other team, it impacts how the defense plays. It impacts Curry's availability to do different stuff. And Melton really helped out on that front. And then a healthy Bruce Brown would do the exact same thing. He did it for the Denver Nuggets, in seasons past. So, again, the Warriors are a fit. They're a team that would definitely be intriguing for some of these Toronto Raptors vets, for some of these Toronto Raptors guys. But a couple of players, along the same mindset. Because, again, the reports are saying that these secondary sort of, role player but consistent rotational guys on good teams are going to be the players that are more moved, more sought after during the course of this trade deadline. I think one of the names I think is most intriguing on this Raptors roster that fits that bill, that fits that niche, is really Chris Boucher. And Masai Ujiri, has him tied to a really reasonable contract, a really reasonable deal. And while I said in the most recent one, he had a phenomenal game in the last one against Minnesota Timberwolves, Chris Boucher has absolute banger games, but also has a couple of stickers or whatever. But overall, right, the stats, the numbers, the effectiveness of Chris Boucher over the course of the season has been a big plus. And the fact that he really brings on both ends of the floor, he's been healthy over the course of the season, I think he's the guy that could actually net the Toronto Raptors some decent returns out there, ahead of this trade deadline, maybe combining him and Kelly Olynyk, him and Bruce Brown, whatever the heck a team needs, right? That's something that the Toronto Raptors could facilitate. But again, this is where the big decisions, the big shoes have to be filled for Masai Ujiri because this squad has been fairly solid. The record doesn't indicate it. The record indicates, a capture the flag season. That's what the record itself, standings watching, all that stuff would project for this Raptors team. But the reality is these games have been very close. The Raptors have been very competitive in a ton of these games. They're on a 2-game win streak. And I don't want to say, hey, let's go all in. Let's be buyers at this trade deadline. But maybe it's worth seeing what you got in Bruce Brown. Maybe it's worth seeing what you got in Kelly Olynyk around this new look Toronto Raptors team. See if that really elevates some of the issues that, because again, the team is losing, so it hasn't been perfect by any stretch. But see if the vets out there, getting Immanuel Quickley, getting Scottie Barnes, getting RJ Barrett all out there on the lineup, for a stretch of this season. See what you got. See what you got. I saw in our comment section, got a bunch of likes. So it said, this team reminds me of the post-Rudy Gay Toronto Raptors. And if that's the case, right, regardless of, wanting star-level talent, wanting, the superstar guys out there in this draft, I'd love to go through another kind of run like we had through 2014 because it culminated to a championship, 2014, 2019. If this is the start of that, that is something I'm definitely cool with. And Jakob Poeltl has definitely been proven to be a core piece of this team. And then obviously, the vets, they will help with winning. That's just the reality of it. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about these latest reports, about everything that's going on. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.